the flight attendant suddenly started vomiting water. She reached out in pain, trying to get help. A second later, she collapsed to the floor. Her body convulsed a few times, then she stopped breathing. I was terrified by what I had just seen. I grabbed my daughter and rushed out of the cabin. As we passed a painter, I noticed what he was drawing. It was the flight attendant who had just died. I grabbed his sketchbook and opened it. What I saw completely stunned me. Every drawing showed the same strange visions I had just seen. Then I turned to the last page. There was an airplane door. Someone was standing in front of it. I immediately felt like we had to get out of there. But when I looked up, the painter's body suddenly broke apart into tiny sparks of light. He vanished right in front of me. I was close to losing it. All I could do was grab my daughter and keep moving to the next cabin. Then a flight attendant and a man blocked our way. Before I could explain anything, the flight attendant was suddenly pulled across the cabin by an invisible force. My daughter screamed. Seconds later, blood started pouring from the man's head. Within moments, his entire face was covered in blood. Then he died right in front of me. I held my daughter close and forced open the cabin door. When we reached the next section, I froze. There wasn't a single person there. I kept walking. Every cabin was empty. It felt like there were only a few of us left on the entire plane. Then I suddenly realized my daughter was gone. Finally, I heard her voice coming from the last row. I turned and saw her. For a second, I felt relieved. Then I noticed someone standing behind her. It was the same witch who kept appearing in my visions. I ran straight toward my daughter. As I did, memories I had buried for years started coming back. And for the first time, I finally understood what that woman had been saying before the plane crashed 20 years ago.
Understand it all now. In reality, you're sitting next to me on the plane, which is about to crash. Child mustn't see how terrible death is, so I put you to sleep, so you could experience at least some of the life that you're not going to have.
That's when I finally understood. She was never a witch. She already knew the plane was going to crash. She just couldn't stop it. The only thing she could do was keep me from facing death while I was awake. The life I thought was real had never actually happened. Even my daughter was only part of the dream. The people I kept seeing on the plane were passengers from the same flight I had taken 20 years earlier, and the real me had never grown up. Once I understood the truth, I held my daughter one last time. She told me not to be sad. We would see each other again. Then I suddenly remembered something. From the moment we got on the plane, my daughter kept insisting that we sit in row 19. Even in her drawings, we were always sitting in row 19. Why row 19? A second later, I snapped out of the dream. I was still the same 10-year-old girl from 20 years ago, and the real plane was already shaking violently. I cried as I crawled toward my mother. With the help of a kind man, we finally made it to row 19. The moment we sat down, the plane completely lost control. It veered off course and crashed into the mountains. By the time rescuers arrived, wreckage was scattered all across the forest. Everyone else on the plane was dead. Only my mother and I were still alive, sitting in row 19.